Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Crown and today we are going to have some more stories that I hope that you will enjoy. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now, without further ado, let's go! So, some context. I play in a neighborhood hockey league, kinda like a beer league, but for children. It's almost not even organized except an adult referees it, and sometimes parents show up. We had a game that fateful day and as I was walking it, I noticed we were playing against the entitled kids team. Province for simplicity. Our team was first in the league, wild for simplicity, and the entitled kids team was second. So it would be a grueling match. Now the entitled kid was normally a hypocritical bully in the first place, like dumping out water, throwing cheap shots and so on. And of course, whenever someone would retaliate, he would pull the whole, "Oh, woe's me, he shoved me," which is legal even in a milk league like mine. And when I say cheap shots, I mean dirt freaking cheap. He almost snapped my then crush's neck after throwing a hip check on her, causing her to do a flip and land on her head. And when the whole team came skating at him calling for his head, he instantly skated behind the ref, petrified. So yeah, this is kinda pathetic. So we got our stuff ready and went on the ice for a pre-game skate and warm-ups. Immediately I saw that the entitled kid had pranked his teammates with a taped skate blade, which made him fall. The entitled kid just skated off howling, then he yelled at his trendy for not saving the shot he had fired at him, almost going bar down, which is hella hard to save. From a half-goalie perspective, I shot a few warm-ups and skated around and eventually the game started. I checked in my trendy real quick just to be sure she was ready, and eventually the puck dropped. I should also mention this was one of those games that the entitled mother decided to go to, and earlier in the season she had been banned for yelling at the ref after the entitled kid got called for slashing. Skipping a decent chunk of the first period, the entitled kid had already given 2 big hits, which were illegal. I was already kinda pissed because one of them was on my friend. I kept playing and eventually I had a breakaway opportunity and scored. The entitled kid smashed his stick on the ground, nearly breaking it. His coach yells at him and he goes off the ice. On to the next period. About halfway through, she starts talking smack to me like, "That goal sucked. My dead grandma can shoot better than you kids." Good for her, bud. At least her ankles aren't in pieces from getting dangled like yours. Please, I just lost my balance. Sure you did. It is at this point that I get a hard shove from the entitled kid and the ref picks it up. 2 minutes in the box for interference. The entitled mother pipes up from the other end of the rink. "Oh, come on, he barely touched them." The awesome ref says, "Ma'am, please be a little less out there with your complaints." "Get lost, you slur." He raises his voice now and says, "Do I need to remove you from these premises?" Again. "No, sir." And she finally shuts up. After the 2-minute penalty, the entitled kid is released and immediately goes for a cheap shot on my friend. She is skating the puck up the ice, bending it like a boss, and dangerously close to the boards too. The entitled kid takes the opportunity to smash my friend into the boards. One minor detail missed. She was facing the boards. So basically the entitled kid skated full speed and shoulder smashed her into pure wood and plexiglass. My friend crumbles to the ground, holding her face. My whole team skated over and started tossing shoves and yelling at the entitled kid, while the team nurse and my friend's mom relevant later, and the ref obviously calls for a penalty. That's when the entitled mother tunes in and says, "Oh, for God's sake, he didn't even touch her. She's just embellishing and being a softie." My friend's mom goes over to deal with the entitled mom, while meanwhile the entitled kid looks down at my friend and says,
Remember how hard that smash was, then compare it to tonight's.
And this was the last straw. As he was getting his ego raised by his teammates, I threw down my gloves and sucker punched him in the face. He moves back and throws his own gloves down.
You made a big mistake, bud.
Try me, jerk. He throws a wild haymaker that sends him tumbling to the ice. Once he's down, I go down as well and just start wailing on the kid. His nose pretty much exploded with blood, and the whole team was trying to pry me off of him. They eventually do, and future OP here, but not before I broke his nose and jaw. We were both escorted off the ice. Him because he was pissing blood out of his face like a fire hose, and me because I got a game misconduct. Me and my friend both head back to the locker room. We sat down on the bench and I tried to make her feel relaxed until the game ends. We eventually won 3-1, and I learned after that the entitled kid and his mom were banned from the league for the rest of the season, about 30 games. We disassemble our hockey gear, and all's well and well. Side note, after my friend's fractured jaw healed, we eventually had our first date. Update to the entitled hockey mom. Anyways, I'm going to do this again. So it was after the game, I was walking my friend out to the ambulance. As I mentioned earlier, she had fractured her jaw. She needed to go to the ambulance for a quick checkup. Right before the ambulance got there, the entitled mother stormed up to us and started screaming at me.
How dare you do that to my son? You should be imprisoned.
And he shouldn't? You know your son hit a girl into those boards, right? That's technically domestic abuse.
It's a contact sport, and your stupid brat of a friend should have watched where she was going.
My friend tells her, "Hey lady, how about you shut up and leave us alone, yeah?" She then cringes in pain and has to hold her jaw to soothe it.
Oh, you're kidding me. You're still playing the hurt jaw card? You're pathetic.
Hey, you wanna step off your land well? Or do you want to join your son in the hospital?
Are you threatening me? I will call the cops.
Do it, you fat witch. I report you for harassment and your son.
That's it.
The entitled mother then proceeds to charge at us like a seal rolling down a hill. I tried to get in her way to defend my friend, but this 400 plus pound of blubber coming extremely quickly. She knocked me over with very brute force and went straight for my friend. She swung wildly at her jaw. She luckily missed, but my friend was very scared. I ran full speed for a shoulder check to knock her off balance. It works, and we tried to back up so the entitled mother cannot attack us again. It was only at this point that my friend's mom came around. I'm frantically running around looking for my friend. She finally finds us getting stared down by this Karen. She comes running and stands between Karen, me and my friend. My friend's mom speaks very little English, so this is all that came out. Friend's mom asks, "Do you mind telling me what you're doing to my daughter?"
Bugger off, Ching Chong lady. I gotta teach these kids a lesson.
My friend's mom attempting to speak English now. "Hey lady, you don't talk to my daughter like that."
Oh my god, you slur. Just get out of my way.
The entitled mother then tries to push my friend's mom out of the way. Fatal mistake. My friend's mom used to be a member of the Fromenskorpset, an elite military unit. It's basically like a Danish SAS except way more cool. They got cool masks. One of their specialties was, guess what? CQC, or Close Quarters Combat. So basically fist/knife fights. The second the entitled mother put a hand on my friend's mom, the awesome mom had the entitled mother flipped over on her butt within 3 seconds, with arms pinned behind her back.
Assault!
She screamed. Me and my friend called the cops, and as soon as we hung up the phone, the ambulance we called earlier came. The EMS jumped out and tried to break up the fight. My friend's mom eventually gets off of the entitled mother as the cops rolled in. The cops cuffed my friend's mom and the entitled mother, and they are both brought off for questioning. That's all I know so far. This whole incident happened about 2 weeks ago. The court case is pretty soon. Me and my friend are called in as witnesses/victims. Now for the court part. Me and my friend walk into the courtroom. We sit near the front because honestly, we have no idea what we're doing, hopelessly lost and confused. Eventually, the entitled mother arrives. She comes right over to us and snarls. She says,
If I get convicted of anything, and I mean anything, I will make it my personal mission to ruin your life.
Me knowing it would trigger the entitled mother, I speak in foreign language and say, Go back to your seat, you dumb cow. Haven't you done enough to yourself? She already fed up with me.
Can you actually speak English today, or would that be too hard for a bunch of
slur for mentally disabled people
like you?
My friend also not in English. You wanna insult mentally disabled people? How about you stop wasting your time and go yell at your stupid son and his dad, if you even have a husband.
I will make sure I win this case. I will also get your stupid friend locked up for assault to my son, and make it my personal goal to mess up your life in as many ways as possible.
Why don't you hit me then?
Wow, look at that. She's done speaking the mentally disabled language. Good for you. Now what did you actually say?
Why don't you take a swing at me, you landwehr?
Why I never? Who the hell raised you? You should not be using language like that.
Finally, the entitled dad comes in. Wow, she does have a husband somehow. And he yells at her.
Sit down. How do you expect to win when you keep harassing those pathetic kids? Fine, but just remember, one of these kids is the one who faked an injury and beat up our baby.
Now it's the entitled dad who comes over.
Okay, so it's you two, even more slurs, who hurt my boy.
Me in Danish? Yes, it's me, and I'll do it again. Your son hit her and broke her jaw.
Speak English, you slur.
My friend needed to legit leave the room. She was so pissed at these people. She left to get some water, and I was praying that someone else would show up. Luckily, the security guards were just coming in, so they tore the entitled dad away from me. I tried to relax and waited for the judge. About 10 minutes pass, and everyone has arrived. The jury, the judge, and the attorneys. Anyway, to break it down, the entitled mother was being charged with assault of a minor, and disturbing the peace. Anyway, yada yada yada, boring court stuff. The entitled mother was sentenced to 2 months of house arrest, anger management, and some community service. I fell asleep for most of it, and my friend's mom was found not guilty of all charges. And all is well again. We moved into a place a year ago. First-time buyers into a tenement building with a shared garden. The stairwell, or close as it's often termed, is self-factored, which gives a place a nice vibe and makes it an appealing place to live. Upstairs neighbor was all over us when we arrived, checking in, sharing cakes and recipes, and sitting in the garden with us and our dog. And generally things were lovely. We put on a few barbecues for our neighbors to help meet everyone and set us off to a good start. Precisely 1 year on, an upstairs neighbor now has an issue with the dog being in the garden as he has damaged some of her flowers. This is obviously not what he wanted, so straight away, I suggest that I will happily spend my own money to supply timber and handyman to build raised beds to prevent this from happening again and to make gardening easier for her. It will probably be approximately £600 to do this. She complained of bending down and that she will be happier with raised beds previously, but not this day. Today, she wants to whine, so I walked away. I saw her the next day and she went off again when I repeated my offer. Who is going to dig out the plants? And what about the soil I put in there? Then the law is on my side. The who what now? Moving on from there, I walk away and vow never to speak with her again, and to reduce our use of the garden, we pay to share. Next, she builds spikes and puts in barbed wire, obviously to deter the dog or hurt him if he tries to go near the plants again. Big mistake. Linked is my pettiest of revenge. You may have heard of it. It is called an Annoyatron. Powered by an insanely small battery, It lets out random irritating and varying sounds that go off at varying times and over varying lengths of time. I just bought two. One has been vacuum packed and put in her window box which sits outside of her bedroom, and the other behind the tile around her front door. I hope that this becomes a lesson for her that hell has no fury like a man mildly inconvenienced. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.